Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Daily Dizzle for Friday, February 4th, 2011. It is 48 hours away from the Super Bowl. Can't wait for that, as I know most of the country is preparing just how annihilated they're going to get during the game. I'm on that list as well. So hopefully the Packers are going to win, because I don't give a shit that everyone is rooting for the Steelers at this point. The Steelers are way too consistently in the Super Bowl, the perennial Super Bowl team, if you will, of the current generation. And the Packers this year, I think the fact that, the hype on, Twitter and everything, they're, the most searched thing at this point, I think that can be attributed to the fact that they really haven't had this good of a team since Favre led them to the championship last time. So Rodgers is hoping to pull off the modern-day Favreism and hopefully win it for the team. And I'm gonna support him doing it, because I honestly think if there's one person who can possibly avoid getting held down by Ben Roethlisberger, it might be him. So hopefully on Monday it will be a happy day for the Daily Dizzle. It'll be a celebratory Super Bowl victory day, and if not, it'll be just another day because Roethlisberger will have raped his way to another Super Bowl. Now onto the box office side of things. For the past week, obviously The Right came out last weekend, the Anthony Hopkins Possession Church Devil movie, the latest in a long line of them. It started out Monday as well, on top, ended up dropping all the way down to number 4 by the end of the week. Meanwhile, No Strings Attached reclaimed the top spot after the beginning of the week. And you had the more adult fare, as expected, performing stronger during the week. Obviously, whatever movies are more in with the younger audience who are out in full force on the weekends, looking for something to do on their days off from school, those ones might top, and they might even start the week on top. But by the middle of the week, you have the adults who are like, let's get the fuck away from the kids, get a babysitter, and get a night out of here. And that's why you have such R-rated movies as No Strings Attached, The King's Speech, The Mechanic, and a lot of the other Oscar contenders still hanging in there. That tends to be the trend most of the year round, unless you're in the summer box office, which it's whatever movie is number one, because everyone has shit to do compared to the rest of the year. You can expect the trend of the holdovers from the week before recaptivating the audience by the middle of the week, next week as well. Only because this weekend the opening movies aren't the greatest things in the world. First, you have James Cameron's first movie since he did Avatar, and this one he just really produced it. He was really like, oh, hey guys, this sounds awesome, I'm going to give you the money for it, because obviously you guys can't afford the 3D cameras, but I bought, a whole army of them, because I'm just going to be doing 3D movies from now on, because I have more money than God would have. I think that's something along his logic. You can't quote me, but I think I read that in one of his diaries. But still, R-rated 3D movies, not too many of them have come out, and it's either been not the greatest results in the world, like Piranha 3D, though that was low budget enough that it ended up getting a sequel greenlit to be out this year, Piranha 3DD. Meanwhile, R-rated 3D movie done right can be very well off at the box office. If you look at My Bloody Valentine, which I think it exceeded its budget in its opening weekend alone, which means hugely profitable. Though it is odd that the most recognizable star from the movie, from Fantastic Four and Titanic, Ian, starts with a G, and I don't really know how to pronounce it, and I will never ever make the attempt to. That's why I just say he's Mr. Fantastic and Titanic guy. He's the most recognizable guy, though, and they have not really shown him in the ads. So, on top of that, you've got the Super Bowl this weekend, which kind of taps into the same audience that would be into that kind of movie. R-rated movies tend to just go with more of a male, older audience anyways, just because inherently females don't go to the movies unless it's Sex and the City or some other big event romantic comedy / girls' night thing that it only comes along once every so often. Meanwhile, if you look at that kind of genre, maybe not that one exactly, but more of the female genre, the Roommate, the girl horror movie that comes out, it's PG-13 horror, so it's aiming for the prom night stepfather type crowd where opens but it makes more than its budget, and then by the time it's gone, people are like, well, it was a cheap, crappy remake, but it made money. Obviously, though, having a girl main character kind of aims a little bit more at the female horror audience, which I don't know if too many of that specific niche audience exists. You're lucky to find enough movie fans sometimes who are female, much less horror specific. And if you are a horror specific female watching this, props to you. Please don't give me hate over this. And hopefully you hate this movie so you can be like, fuck you, because we're not even what you think they're being aimed at. Regardless, though, it shouldn't be the greatest weekend in the world of the box office, just because that's how Super Bowl weekends tend to go in the long run. Most people are at home glued to their TVs. Running through some of the latest movie and TV news. Futurama, you can expect more episodes. They're going to be doing the second half of the season ordered for Comedy Central later this year. However, negotiations with cast members for an additional season after that have already been occurring. Obviously, it shouldn't take too long for all that to come together. Meanwhile, we told you the other day that there's another Stephen King adaptation coming out. A lot of them seem to be the rage in Hollywood. And you have his movie, The Stand. But apparently he's not involved in it. He said he's barely even going to be making any money from the rights or whatever, and he doesn't know who's involved with it, but he said he has nothing to do with it, so what the hell's the point of it? Meanwhile, there's been a lot of news about Bond, the latest Bond movie coming out. Who knows what the title of it will be. All we know is the cast is going to kick ass. Of course, you have Daniel Craig and Judi Dench returning. You have Javier Bardem, who is this close, just has to read the script. And apparently Ralph Fiennes is going to be in it, in discussions for another villain role that is not the Javier Bardem one. On top of all that, they're going to do a more modern take on Bond, so you know how everyone would make jokes about the old school Bond movies? I mean, they're awesome, but cheesy and kind of male chauvinistic in some ways. Apparently, they're going the complete opposite way with that, making very dark, complex, modern characters, which that really just seems like even just a step further than what they did in Casino Royale, which was already a dope movie. So I guess this one's going to be shaping up, really, to be the best Bond movie yet, which, despite the fact that Casino Royale seemed really hard to top, it's coming together to do so. So we'll keep you updated on that, because we're sure with all these cast members already being announced that there's going to be a few more boss ones. On top of that, other movie news that we've told you about recently, the Superman movie, looking for the female role, possibly for Lois Lane. Apparently there is no Lois Lane character in the movie. They're going to be having a different character, female-wise, and they're going to go with someone a little bit more low profile than anyone who was rumored, because the fact that you have Superman being an unknown guy, you can't really overshadow him. In our last bit of movie news, anyone who's a video game fan in the early 90s might remember the game Zombies Ate My Neighbors. It was Super Nintendo before the time of video game ratings, because Mortal Kombat hadn't quite yet permeated as one of the turning points in video game history of, yeah, the games are going to get progressively more violent from here on in. Regardless, it was kind of based off of a horror movie kind of concept. You had to take out the zombies while saving your neighbors, pretty much. You get points, you know, if you save babies or old ladies, depending on, you know, what their usefulness was, you get different amount of points. They were worth the least amount. Of course, the most amount of points I think I ever saw scored in that game by my friend Doug Wallace was by rescuing a cheerleader. Regardless, they are going to be making that into a movie. A script exists for it. I hope to God that project comes along, because as a Super Nintendo, like, dedicated fan, I mean, nowadays I would more rather pick up a Super Nintendo than any of the current video game systems that exist, just because that's how awesome it was. This could be a turning point of the time where Hollywood goes on and moves on from remakes and sequels and everything like that as the current trend to doing Super Nintendo video games. There are so many video games that are ripe for the picking that they have not done yet. That's a fact. Granted, that might be because they've done the video games so far wrong when they made them into movies. But still, Zombies Ate My Neighbors, that one can't be fucked up. It's going to be a zombie movie based on a video game. The two greatest things in the world combined. And to round out today's news, switching back to the TV side of things, NCIS, due to USA replaying it over and over again now that they got the syndicated rights to it, is starting to reach its peak viewership. It's pretty much the Law & Order effect. I mean, any of the Law & Order spinoffs like Criminal Intent and SVU got hugely popular from USA. That's how they still maintain an audience today. And they were spinoffs from the original Law & Order. Meanwhile, NCIS itself is a spinoff from the show Jag, which USA used to show all the time. Never really paid much attention to it, though I'm glad it ended up spinning off into a more awesome show. Previous ratings record wasn't set too long ago at 22 million viewers, shortly after USA started doing the marathons. And this past week on Tuesday, it ended up breaking that record with 22.9 million. Cannot doubt that the fact that USA just started putting the show on and pushing it hardcore like they used to do with Law & Order is definitely helping in the fact that it has achieved the status as the most viewed television show at the moment. On top of that, you also have Mark Harmon, the star of it, signing on an additional contract extension through next season, and he did it ahead of schedule. Normally at this point in the season, pretty much every year, you'd have stories of which cast member it was putting up a fight to sign their deal extension, and which other one was coming up for renewal as well because it was one of the ones that was added at a later date or incorporated later on in the run. At this point, the only person who you might expect to not return for the following season could be the chick that took over for the other chick that was shot in the head. Anyone who's seen the show will know what I'm talking about, and if you haven't, you don't give a shit of what I'm saying right now. So yeah, hopefully you watched NCIS and you're one of those people like me who have been caught up in all the reruns and marathons that you're like, shit, what is this show? I need some time to kill. Holy shit, it's awesome. And if so, then you're helping it reach its peaks in its 8th season, going on 9 officially confirmed. It's not every day that a television show reaches its peak years after people thought it had already burned out. So that's all the news that we've got for you today on the Daily Dizzle. Hopefully you enjoyed it and learned something new today. If this is your first time checking us out, we are here Monday through Friday with a weekend update as well, posted by Sunday. Of course, with the Super Bowl this weekend, that weekend update might be a little bit later, like late Sunday, early Monday. Just because we might end up doing a drunk video diary that day. So, should be very entertaining. Maybe a riot will break out. Who knows? That's the allure. That's why we want you to come back for more. So be sure to check back for that at the end of the weekend. And hopefully we'll see you back here Monday for more. So on behalf of the Daily Dizzle, I'm Tommy Dizzlemits. We'll see you then.